Hello everybody, it's your Prof. Jeff, and we're back again with our MrBallen video. One of the best scary horror content creators on this goddamn platform. Let's go, the Piggy Palace Massacre. I don't know what this is, but we'll see. Hope it's not too, The background looks like something out of Dark Wood. Pretty dope.
Robert Picton
Piggy
was born
Palace.
in 1949 in Port Coquitlam.
Robert what?
Robert Picton was born in 1949 in Port Coquitlam in British Columbia, which is about 15 miles to the east of Vancouver. He, along with his brother and sister, were raised by their parents on a big pig farm. In the 1970s, their parents passed away, and so the property was handed down to them. Robert and his brother took over the daily operations of the farm, and their sister decided to just move away. Over the next couple of decades, Robert and his brother attempted to run the pig farm, but pretty quickly they stopped taking care of it, and it fell into decline. Neighbors and visitors recalled seeing the pigs that were still there free roaming the property. And as for the brothers, it appeared they had just stopped bathing, and despite walking all day in mud and pig feces, it seemed like they never took off their boots when they went inside. One of the few farm workers that stayed with the Pictons through the farm's decline was a guy by the name of Bill Hiscox, and he said the farm was a really creepy place. And he also said Robert was a really creepy guy that was prone to just totally...
That's the farm. Yo, that's a huge ass property. I thought it was a pig place. Why do they have so many cars and shit?
Bizarre behavior, even though he didn't smoke or drink or use any substances. Eventually, the Picton brothers realized they were not cut out to run the pig farm like their family had for generations before them, and they decided their best move was just to sell portions of their land. But neither of them could have guessed just how much their land was worth. From 1994 to 1995, they managed to sell off almost all of their property to an urban developer for over $5 million. And so suddenly, these filthy, failed pig farmers had become millionaires, and neither of them knew what to do with the money. After a year of just sitting on the money and not doing much with it, they decided they wanted to do some good with their money. And so they established an official charity in 1996 called the Piggy Palace Good Times Society. Their charity's purpose, at least on paper, was to help raise money for various organizations that they deemed worthy by running events like dances and shows. And while that might have been their original intention for this charity, what it ultimately became was a guise to host these wild drug and alcohol-fueled parties inside of their slaughterhouse, which, even though it wasn't being used anymore because they were no longer really doing any pig farming, it still conspicuously had big hooks coming down from the ceiling and bloodstains all over the ground underneath them. These Piggy Palace parties became infamous in Coquitlam, drawing...
You know this... I need to pause it for... You know this is gonna be very bad. The longer it takes for MrBallen, from what I've seen, to get to the actual bad things, the worse it gets. Every single time.
Crowds of up to 2,000 people, predominantly bikers, drug addicts, and prostitutes from the poverty-stricken downtown east side of Vancouver. Robert had become familiar with that part of Vancouver because he used to go through there all the time to dispose of animal waste products at their rendering plant. Once the Piggy Palace charity was in full swing, Robert started going back into that neighborhood where he would cruise down the 10-block strip called the Low Track and would attempt to recruit people to come to his parties. Most of the people he recruited were down on their luck women who only...
You know it's bad when I can already spot like 2 prostitutes and 3 drug addicts.
Agreed to go because he was offering them food and money and drugs and alcohol. At the same time Robert was running this recruiting campaign, women from the downtown east side began disappearing in droves. These disappearances were noticed by the men and women in the downtown east side, but they didn't report them because they had a general distrust of the police and of authority figures in general. But as more and more and more women disappeared from the downtown east side, rumors of a serial killer operating in that area started to circulate. Residents began only going outside if they could walk around in a big group of people, and everybody was just totally on edge, keeping careful lookout for anything odd about the neighborhood, people that shouldn't be there, cars that shouldn't be there. But despite this heightened security, women continued to go missing at a rapid rate, and nobody knew why. When the police were finally contacted about all these missing women...
Why did it take them so long to... God damn it, bro. I know distrust of cops is a thing, but damn, people are getting killed and disappearing.
Their response was lacking, to say the least. Since there were no bodies of these missing women, the police said it was reasonable to assume that the women were to blame, that their lifestyles must have caught up with them, and they either ran...
Okay, I understand now. I apologize.
ran off somewhere, or perhaps they overdosed somewhere and their bodies just
But
haven't
they would
been
be found.
Despite residents of the downtown east side saying, no, this is different, there's something wrong here, the police basically said, we're not getting involved. When the newspapers found out about this totally apathetic
Why does the dude on the left look like Michael Bisping? A little bit, doesn't he?
Response from the police, they criticized them for intentionally deprioritizing these missing women because the majority of them were drug addicts and prostitutes, and so therefore weren't worthy of a full investigation. The police rejected this claim. On the evening of March 22nd, 1997, so 1 year after the Piggy Palace had been stood up and they started throwing all these parties, and 1 year after dozens of women have gone missing from the downtown east side, the Pictons' neighbor heard a frantic knock on their front door.
Oh shit.
They ran over, they opened it up, and what they saw was this woman.
Why does this sound like... I swear to God, this sounds like a movie.
Who was hunched over with one hand on her bleeding stomach, and dangling from her wrist was a handcuff. The neighbor was obviously shocked at what they were seeing, but they quickly ushered the woman in and they called her an ambulance. The woman was rushed to the hospital where she immediately was put into emergency surgery. Afterwards, while she was in recovery, she told her nurses that her name was Wendy and she had been at one of those Piggy Palace parties, and one of the owners of the farm, Robert Picton, had tried to put a handcuff on her, and when he did, she fought back. He drew a knife, he stabbed her in the stomach, she was able to get the knife back, she stabbed him in the face before turning and running out the door and making it to the neighbor's house. Right after she told this story, Robert Picton actually showed up at the exact same hospital with a serious laceration on his face that was consistent with being stabbed. The medical staff had already called the police, who showed up minutes later, and when they went inside, they searched Robert, and they found in one of his pockets a handcuff key. And that handcuff key opened the handcuff that was still on Wendy's wrist. And so when the police saw that, they arrested Robert on attempted murder. While Robert was in custody, he explained,
"This dumb motherfucker. Hey, I know some people are dumb, but that's taking it to another goddamn level. Hey, he might have brought the knife as well, make it even easier for them."
To officers that Wendy was lying. She was a drug addict, and she had come to one of their Piggy Palace parties, and he had caught her trying to rob them. He had confronted her, she drew a knife, and that's when a struggle ensued, and both of them got stabbed, and Robert said he was just lucky to be alive. The police believed him and dropped all of his charges and let him go. When Robert got back to the farm, Bill Hiscox, the one worker who still worked for the Pictons, he grew very suspicious.
They just believed him. They did not put it in. Nobody was like, yo, he seems trustworthy, but maybe we should check it out a little bit more. They were like, oh no, charges drop. It's cool, she a prostitute. They get stabbed all the time.
Of Robert. He had read all about the missing women from the downtown east side, and he knew Robert regularly went over there to pick up women and brought them back to his parties. Bill just always had that gut feeling that something was off about Robert.
But he stayed.
So he sat on this gut feeling for a couple of months until finally he decided he had to tell someone. And so he called the Crime Stoppers tip line, and he told them that he thought Robert had actually attacked Wendy, not
Crime Stoppers tip line?
The other way around, and that actually Robert was most likely behind some or all of these missing women from the downtown east side. Bill also said that a recent female party guest at the farm had seen a pile of women's clothing inside of Robert's trailer, along with at least 10 purses and women's ID cards. The police followed up with Lisa to confirm what she saw, but she was scared of Robert and said she wasn't going to cooperate. And so the police, without this testimony, were unable to secure a search warrant to investigate this further, and so they kind of just forgot about it and moved on to other cases. Over the next few years, the Pictons continued to throw these huge Piggy Palace parties until the city finally shut them down, and dozens more women disappeared from the downtown east side without a significant police investigation, despite the fact that Bill was calling them all the time to say he believed Robert Picton was behind all of these disappearances. But
I hope to God I don't get abducted anywhere near there. Police are gonna be like, shit, we don't see our body, what can we do?
They weren't taking him seriously.
What the fuck?
Finally, in 2002, a former employee of the Picton farm came forward to police and said that he personally had seen illegal weapons inside of Robert's trailer. And this was enough information for the police to get a search warrant and raid the pig farm. And in February of that year, they did just that.
Why is the AK... Why is the front part in the sky? That don't seem right. Why is there like 50 knives? There's like 2 boxes. Damn.
And they found inside of Robert's trailer the illegal guns, as well as several items directly connected to some of the missing women from the downtown east side. Robert was arrested but let out on bail. He was put under surveillance.
What is the law for bail? How can you put a suspected serial killer on bail? That seems like complete bullshit.
And told he could not go back to the farm until they were done conducting a more thorough search. And during that more thorough search, they found blood from one of the missing women inside of Robert's trailer. And so Robert was rearrested and charged with murder. While he was being held in jail, he shared his cell with another man who he believed was just another detainee. But he wasn't
detective.
a detainee. He was actually an undercover police officer.
Damn.
And their entire interaction was being recorded.
Okay.
And on this recording, Robert makes a few shocking statements.
Oh shit. Oh no, there's actual videos. Oh god, I got chills. I just got chills. Oh, okay. How bad? How bad? Hey, listen. How bad can it be? Oh, I killed them. Okay. How bad can it be?
What do you got? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, I know what's up. You got a missing person.
Hey, bro, this guy cursing more than me. Chill, officer.
That's good. It's full of something. Taking the ocean. Believe it or not.
What did? Wait. What does a rendering plant do? Yeah, what does it do? Rendering plant.
Pretty much.
Well, you tell me like 40 plus women disappeared and the police was like, shit happens all the time. Jesus Christ! Oof. Damn! This guy is fucked up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
As Robert admits in this video, he killed 49 people, who would turn out to be the majority of the missing women from the downtown east side. After a lengthy investigation, it was determined Robert's killing spree began in 1991, but it really kicked up a notch in 1996 when he and his brother started Piggy Palace, because he was able to use their huge parties to lure.
What about the brother though? I like how he felt zero remorse. He was like, oh, I was just trying to set a record. A new high record, and also, bro, high score, baby.
To his farm faster.
God.
And once they were at his farm, he would lure them into his trailer, where he would handcuff them, tell them it's over.
Yeah, he does look like a fucked up individual, doesn't he?
For now, and he would inject antifreeze
Sheesh.
into them, or he would strangle them to death. Afterwards, he would move the victim's body to the slaughterhouse, where he would butcher them like a pig. A large portion of his victim's remains would be fed to his pigs, and the parts he didn't
like
feed
the
to his
gangster
pigs,
movies.
he would bring to the rendering plant in the downtown east side, which is not far from where the victim was most likely picked up. A rendering plant takes animal waste products, crushes them up, and turns them into a gelatin. This gelatin is used in many everyday.
Did he feed people?
Everyday products from candy to cosmetics, which means Robert's victims wound up in things like lipstick and gummy bears. Also, sometimes while Robert was going through this horrific disposal process, he would set aside some of the best
Wait, so that makes it lipstick, right? Sorry.
cuts of meat and grind them up with pork and turn them into sausage. This sausage was served at Piggy Palace parties. It was also given to neighbors, and food banks, and orphanages. After sifting through 300,000 cubic meters of soil and pig feces underneath the Picton farm, investigators were only ever able to find little bits of remains of 26 women. Robert was charged with all 26 murders, but only 6 turned into
Little bits of 26 women. Bro, that's not a small number. That's a lot of peoples.
Into convictions due to a lack of evidence. He was sentenced to life in prison and is still alive today. His brother and sister were never charged in connection with the crimes. So that's going to do it, guys. If you found the secret in today's episode, let us know.
Jesus Christ, what makes a man do this sort of thing? Oh, yo, you need to have a couple of screws loose, because that's some fucked up shit. 49 people, excuse me. Almost 50. Almost made it even. Wow. That's a big wow. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Let me know what y'all think. This was very creepy. And if you want to see more of my reactions to these type of horror things, check out playlists right here. Quick thank you to the YouTubers and patrons. Thank y'all for the support and have a nice day, everybody. Bye bye.